The video that Big Sushi doesn't want you to see.
Hey boys and girls, welcome back to the workshop. You know, a couple of months ago, I guess it was, I made a video where I made just a simple California roll, but I did go into detail on things like what kind of rice to use and how to make the sushi rice and just some basics, how to roll them without using a bunch of special tools and whatnot. And I said at the time that I would, in the next couple of days, come out with a new video that had recipes for some more interesting, involved kind of rolls. So true to my word, today I'm going to show you how to make 4 rolls. 2 of them are pretty kind of standard things that you would get at a sushi place or at the gas station, and 2 of them are more for people that don't like the flavor or the texture of raw fish, and they're kind of turned off of the idea of sushi because of it. Believe me, they are all simpler than you would think, and they are all delicious. What? Why do I need to read something? I'm busy. Important. Alright, what do you got? What do you get when you cross sushi with a thesaurus? A synonym roll. You jerk. That's awful. Don't you do that again or you're fired. God. Sorry about that, folks. The best part of sushi is the sauces. I know that's going to be something that'll spark a lot of debate, but to me, I said before that sushi is just a delivery system for delicious sauces. Today we're going to make 3. A, B, and 3. The first one is going to be eel sauce. Eel sauce is that dark brown, sweet, savory sauce that you get on a lot of different rolls. I also think it's probably when you go to places like where they have umami flavor for their burgers or something, I think that's the sauce that they use to get that umami flavor as well. It's absolutely amazing. The second one is going to be a Cajun barbecue sauce, and the third one is just your regular spicy mayo. What? Leave me alone. This had better not be another stupid sushi joke. I asked my sumo wrestler friend if he would like to have some sushi for dinner. He said no thanks. I'm not a big Japanese person. So the first one we're going to do is the eel sauce. Now, it starts with the urine of 7 eels. Ha! Now see, that's humor, knucklehead. No, it consists of equal amounts of fruit juice, I like apple or grape because I always have them around, soy sauce, and sugar. We're going to simmer them over low heat, and we're going to stir it around until it thickens enough to coat the spoon. And you'll find that it's going to thicken as it cools. The next one is the sauce for Cajun barbecued shrimp. It's one of my favorite foods. Now normally I use butter for it, but I'm going to eat this cold and the butter would probably get gross, so I'm using olive oil. Next I'll add a good bit of minced garlic and my basic Cajun seasoning, which is salt, white pepper, black pepper, cayenne pepper, some fresh thyme, and a little bay leaf. You can just use store-bought and it's still going to be good. Now we're going to add a little bit of the Worcestershire sauce, or as Justin Wilson calls it, the Lion Parent, and we're going to top it off with a little bit of beer. I'm partial to a dark beer like Negro Modelo because I have to drink the excess. Now once the garlic is softened and the sauce is combined proper, we're going to drop in the shrimp that I peeled, deveined, and cut into little small pieces for the roll. And then we're going to cook them until they turn pink. It's as simple as that. Last but not least is the spicy mayo. It's got two ingredients, spicy and mayo. Usually I use a chili paste called Simbol Olik, I think is how you pronounce it. But believe it or not, there's an actual shortage of it. Probably because of that thing. I've looked at several stores and even the Korean and Indonesian markets, and so I had to use off-brand sriracha. It's still good. Alright, so let's see how we're coming. It looks like the eel sauce is starting to thicken nicely. It's about done. Maybe let it go a little bit longer. And the Cajun shrimp sauce looking good. So now we're going to dump the little shrimp in there, and we're going to cook them again until they start to turn pink. You don't want to overdo them. You want to cook them until they're just starting to turn pink. What's that? No, I haven't tried the new lawyer-themed sushi restaurant that's by the courthouse. What's it called? So sue me? Ah! Nothing embarrasses you, does it? Anyway, let's get down to the workshop and we'll put the rolls together. So for the first one, we're going to do the simplest one. That is the spicy ahi tuna. So we're going to start with the tuna that I cubed up. Take my spicy mayo, mix some of that in there. Stir it nicely. Now, for this one, I'm going to use my little sushi mold. Now, I've never seen a sushi mold in real life. I made this one myself out of Purple Heart and hickory. That's a pretty simple thing. You got a little pedestal here that the sushi goes on top of, and a mold that holds it. I'm thinking about maybe taking these and making like in 4-packs and selling them on Etsy, so people can do family sushi night. Right? Everyone has their own little sushi mold, and you just chop up all the stuff for them, and then they put in whatever they want. Kind of a cool idea, I thought. To make the roll, what I did is I took my sushi mold, this over here, move this to there, and I lined it with some parchment paper so that the rice doesn't stick to the mold and all come apart. Now when I do this stuff, I tend to use my hands because I haven't learned tools yet. So what we're going to do to start off is take some of this sticky rice, put it in here. The little bowl of water helps because it does keep your fingers from sticking to the stuff. Now put the layer in on the bottom, then I'm going to start a layer on the sides. Spoon into the middle my spicy tuna. Look, this ahi tuna is pretty expensive stuff, and I guess you're really supposed to use sushi grade, which is even more expensive. I think it has to be frozen to a certain temperature or something, but even at that, you can use a lot more the ahi tuna in your tuna rolls than they use at the restaurant.
Out. Well, it's not a perfect roll, but it looks pretty good. To serve this, I'm going to start with a little bit of my eel sauce, drizzled artistically on the plate like they do at the restaurants. That's just lovely. I'm going to get my handy dandy Larry the Cable Guy get her done official spatula. Slide it over. Then we'll slice it up. Lovely. Joys of cooking for myself. I get to eat the fall off. So now, I'm going to drizzle a little bit more of the spicy mayo on top. By the way, it's just an old Grey Poupon mustard bottle. It works good for squirting stuff. And the last step on this roll is some of these fried jalapenos. They're like the fried onions that your grandma puts on the green bean casserole on Thanksgiving, only they have jalapenos inside of the crispy part. So crunch that up. And Juanito, we have the spicy tuna roll. You know, that roll came out pretty good, but there was a weakness I found to the system, and that was that I couldn't use the slots to make the cuts, and it squashed it a little bit. So instead of the paper this time, I'm going to try using some Pam on the inside of the mold. Maybe that'll make it so it's not so sticky. So spray it up real good here. There we go. The next one we're going to do is the yellowtail roll. And this one's going to be a little bit more involved, but I think it's going to be pretty tasty too. So what we're going to start with is our bed of rice. Get that good and stuffed in there, and beautiful. Alright, first ingredient, I'm going to spread some of the cucumber across the middle. And you can see while I'm doing this, I mean, I think it would be a really fun thing for you to do with your family, your kids, you know, even little kids, mushing around with rice and making their own food with their fingers. It just looks to me like it'd be a fun thing to do. I'm having a ball doing it right now. A little bit more of the cucumber. There we go. Next is avocado. I cut the avocados into some slices. They'll go in there as well. Just take 2 of them to make the length of it. Next is mango. This is a little yellow mango. They're really sweet and tasty, and the way you cut them, you slice them to the skin, and then you can fold it out, and you just slice off your pieces into the mold. Mango's fairly common in sushi. I mean, you don't see a lot, but I've seen mango rolls, so it's not like I invented this. Here we got that. Next, we're going to put in jalapeno slices, very thin. I keep the seeds in them. I want it hot. I'd like to have a little bite to this, a little kick. So I put a jalapeno salt, and then take my rice and finish the mold. This is a pretty full little sushi roll here. It's got a lot of stuff in it. And that's another rule to, I think, to making stuff like this is there are no rules. If there's something you want, put it in there and try it. If it doesn't taste good, well, don't do it again. If it tastes good, kinda, but not great, well, make a little change to it. But one of the joys of doing this stuff is you can try it yourself and just have fun seeing what works and what doesn't. Alright, we got that done. And pressed in real good. Now I can take my knife and cut. I'm not going to cut all the way through. It cuts most of the way through. Just gets them started good. Hopefully it gets you through the stuffing part. Alright. Now for the pizza resistance. Let's see how this comes off. Go slow, go slow. Hey, look at that. It actually stayed together. So now we're going to take the, wrong tool, take the handy dandy lifter. We're going to start with a little bit of the eel sauce on the plate again. I love eel sauce. Man, this stuff is so good. I could eat it by the spoonful. A little bit more down here. Looks like we lost a chunk. Alright, slide this over. And you know what? I could edit this out where it fell apart and didn't work quite perfect. But I'm not gonna, because you know what? You can still eat this roll and it's still gonna be good. We'll get the parts off that fell off because they're not pretty. That aside. Still got that much of a roll that's good, huh? Now I'm going to take a little bit of the spicy mayo. And put a slice of yellowtail on each one. The yellowtail is something that I caught a while back. Well, I'm storing. I didn't actually catch it. I was taking my pet anchovy for a swim, and we were in a little kelp patty, and all of a sudden this huge, massive monster yellowtail started going after my little pet, and I got to say, sadly, I never was able to see Mickey again. He got away, or I don't know what happened to him, but I ended up getting the yellowtail and removing the predator from the playground, and sadly I intended to release him unhurt, but apparently there was something wrong with him and he died, and I didn't want to waste it, so we're eating him now. If you thought that I was the mean kind of guy that goes out fishing and catches fish and kills them, you can put your apologies in the comments section. If you doubt me, just ask my buddy Rich. I've been fishing a couple times with him, and he'll tell you I spent hours on the water. I never hurt a fish at all. There's slice. There we go. And there we have, not perfect, no, but a nice yellowtail roll. So I'm thinking probably in the future when I use this thing, I'm going to just use the parchment paper. I think that does a better job. But how do you find out if you don't try, huh? If you watched some of my other videos, you know that I kind of like to do fusions like you see at food trucks and stuff, I guess. But for example, one of my first ones, I fused my inner redneck with snooty Frenchness, and I made squirrel bourguignon. And believe it or not, it was delicious. Another one I fused Jamaican jerk with fish tacos. I made jerk yellowtail tacos, and also made jerk yellowtail ceviche, and it was absolutely delicious. So today I'm going to also, as part of my sushi experience, is we're going to fuse Mexican with the Japanese, and we're going to make ceviche sushi roll. People that don't like the taste or the texture of raw fish can have something that's not raw. It's actually cooked in the lemon juice. So if you want a recipe or to watch me make the ceviche, I'll leave a link to that particular video. It's very simple to make, and it's amazingly good. If you've never had ceviche, dude, you gotta do it. Now this particular roll, in fact the next two rolls, are going to use the sushi nori, the paper, or the seaweed. And to do it, I'm going to lay the seaweed out onto the plate, get my fingers a little moist, and we're going to spread the rice in an even thin layer all over, except for I'm going to leave a little section right here that is open. But the rest of it I want to cover the whole thing with rice. And this is a place where the water definitely comes into play. It makes it a lot easier. Now I'm going to take my ceviche. See that? Oh, that's pretty. It's got yellowtail, red onion, jalapeno peppers, and cucumbers that are all soaked in lemon juice. A little salt and pepper. It's very simple. Again, the fish actually has the texture of cooked fish because the lemon juice cooks it effectively. Do this. I'm also going to sprinkle a little bit of this lemon juice around here just to give it more of the lemon drop flavor. Alright. So now a trick here is you're going to roll this over where it grabs the filling. Squeeze it in good and tight with the roller. And then we're going to roll it up from there. And what you see is that. Come out pretty. Come out pretty. Now, on top of this, I'm going to squirt with that. I'm going to put slices of avocado across the top. Mango chunk. Now, and there we have the ceviche roll, huh? What I'm going to do is cut it here. Gotta make that be about the same size. That means that the cook gets the end piece.
That is lovely.
Well, this last one, my boys and girls, this is a fusion I think is made in heaven. It's one of my favorite foods, which is, I guess they call Cajun barbecued shrimp, which is now going to be put with rice in a roll, which is kind of like they were meant for each other. So what we're going to do, I showed you earlier how to make the Cajun barbecue sauce, and I cooked the shrimp in it. And actually, these are actually cold. You could do it hot if you wanted, but frankly, I like cold shrimp, and this tastes really good. I did use the Sushi Nori seaweed sheet because the sauce is going to make the rice fall apart otherwise. So we start off, we have the rice rolled out onto the sushi sheet. Scoop this, all that gravy, the little shrimp chunks, the garlic. Oh my goodness, this. I'll tell you, if there's any of the sauce left over and you dunk it in French bread, I'm telling you what, if you don't get aroused a little bit by that, I can't help you. Now the next thing I'm going to put in here is some toasted pecans. Why? Because they go good and they taste good. I love toasted pecans. They're not necessary. You don't have to do it, but I like them. So now we start with the roll. Oh, that's a good full. Look how full that thing is. Oh yeah. Now tuck that in real good and tight. And roll it out. And we end up with this roll here. Take that over there. I can put you aside now. Put that over that way. That's just pretty. Now what we're going to do is on top of it, smear on some of that. And then just because I can, you can't stop me. We'll sprinkle on some of these fried jalapenos. I don't know if I mentioned, for using with the sushi nori stuff, a serrated knife really helps when it comes time to slice it. Here we go. If you really want Mama to love you, what you can do is open these up a little bit, spoon a little bit more of that sauce on top of it so it gets down in there on that rice. And there we have it. That is an absolutely amazing roll. Well, I guess a cooking show wouldn't be complete unless the cook ate it in front of you and then told you how wonderful it was. So let's start off with my little Cajun roll. See up inside there, got shrimp and gravy and little toasted jalapenos. Oh. That may not be what you would call traditional sushi, but oh my goodness, that tastes good. It is absolutely phenomenal. Maybe one of these days I'll do the Cajun barbecued shrimp recipe for you, because it is definitely worth having. Now for the ceviche roll. See up in there, you got the yellowtail, the cucumber, onions, lemon juice, jalapeno peppers, a little avocado on top. You cannot go wrong with that. Even if you don't like the texture of taste of raw fish. That's phenomenal. Anyway, it looks like we got a couple minutes left before I end the video. So we're going to go back to something I did a while back. It's a part of the show where I pretend that some knucklehead wrote me a letter asking for advice on a topic that I have absolutely no expertise and which I'm totally unqualified to respond to. It's up to you how long we go on like this. I'm going to keep going until some knucklehead actually sends me a real letter asking for advice on something I have no right to answer. Man, that was pretty tasty. So here goes the letter. Dear Tim, my wife has been wanting me to take her dancing. We used to go all the time before we were married, but I always figured after the wedding it would be a trade-off. I wouldn't have to go dancing and she wouldn't, well, you know. Anyway, I thought we had a deal. How do I get out of it? Signed, Tormented in Tulsa. This is one that we all have to struggle with there, Tor. I hear you on this one. When I was going to the dance halls as a kid, and we were dancing with guys like Red Steagall and Johnny Bush and Ernest Tubb and such, you only needed to know how to do the two-step and the waltz. And if you wanted to be top drawer, top of the line, you could also do a polka and a Cotton Eye Joe. But that ain't the way it is anymore, Scooter. A while back, my wife dragged... Indoor voice. I volunteered gladly to take my wife dancing. Now, on the door of this place was a dress code. That's right. Country dance hall with a dress code. And one of the rules was it says you can't wear spurs on the dance floor. Now remember, this place is the bottom floor of an office building in Anaheim, California. And that rule to me seemed just a little bit silly. I mean, let's say you're finishing a hard day's work. You just closed the Peterson account, and you and a couple of coworkers want to stop in for a gluten-free wine cooler with an organic spritzer water to celebrate. Only before you left the office, you forgot to take your spurs off and put them in the desk drawer where they belong. Are you telling me you can't go into a bar called The Ranch unless you take them off and leave them in the Prius? That's tyranny. It's enough to make you want to rip the coexist sticker right off your hybrid. We went anyway, and after an hour or two, they played a song that sounded roughly like a two-step, and my wife and I went out on the dance floor. About halfway around, this big fella in a duster and a black hat informed us that this song was an old town road, and we could either do that or leave the floor. Otherwise, the entire bar would descend into anarchy with people dancing the way they wanted to. My first thought was, this is America, Scooter. You can go tell me how to dance. Then I recalled that Ron White story about getting thrown out of a bar in New York City, and we agreed to sit down. They played one two-step and one waltz all night long. The music sucked. Now, I could be a baby and never take her dancing again. But I love my wife, and I want to keep her off my back. Indoor voice. I mean happy. So here's how I solved the problem. The next time we went, I had her invite her friends from work and their husbands. The women went out together during the line dances, and the men did what we do best. We drank beer, checked out young women in shorty shorts and cowboy boots, and we complained about the government and millennial snowflakes. It was a fairly enjoyable night, and since I didn't invite any of my friends and get them dragged into it, none of them were ticked off at me. That's what the art of the deal would call a win-win situation. I can't help you with the other half of your marital trade-off, but good luck. So anyway, thanks for watching. Feel free to comment. Let me know if there's something you'd like to see me attempt. And I said, don't be afraid to give me a hard time. I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I like it. So take care. See you guys next time.
just take one of these, huh?
That's good.